Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining live, or whether you're watching this after the matter of fact, our weekly live at 5 expose. The whole point of these videos is so that we can share with you guys what a property development company, a surveying company, an architectural practice, and a management and lettings business cover in a week, so that you can ask questions, see what we get to on a weekly basis, and see what we're up to. So we've got an exciting list of things to run through today. And I think we got a bit of feedback at your end.
Sorry, I was just raising my electric desk, and I think it probably made a bit of a noise. Sorry.
Tip number 1: get a stand-up desk if your legs ache.
Cool.
Good.
So we're trying to improve these every week, and some of the feedback and discussions we've had about how we can do that is just to give a quick sort of overview of the things that we're going to be talking through, rather than it being a surprise as we go. So if you're joining us now, hopefully there's at least one thing on this list of 9 topics we're going to cover that interests you, and you can hang around for those. So we're going to be talking about a HMO Mastermind retreat that we've just got back from today. There won't be any nude photos being shown, but it was I think got quite rowdy come the end. I think a lot of people either did go to sleep at 5 o'clock or didn't even sleep. So yeah, it was a good learning experience. We're going to be talking through Colney Hatch Lane, which is a project in Muswell Hill that we've got in for planning at the moment. We are launching our Trends on Tuesday broadcast with Or Architecture, and we can talk a little bit about that. Very exciting day at Sunset Court. Carpets went down today, and we're going to be showing you some of those photos and videos. 5, we're going to be talking about some of the business coaching that we've been doing. The business box is part of a development that we worked on a couple of years ago that we're going to be talking through and giving you an update on. Gainsborough Green is a property that we built, and we're going to be talking through a sale that we've agreed on that. We've launched our second XPS car onto the road, and then we're going to be talking about some of the interesting funding conversations that we've been having over the last week. So yeah, let's get into it.
Cool. So kicking off with the HMO Manormind with COHO. So COHO is a software plugin for landlords like us that need to manage properties. We attended their HMO Awards back last September 2022, and we were fortunate enough to bring an award home for Central Suites. I believe it was best category for under 6-bed HMO, which our Henley HMO picked, and we brought back a lovely bit of trophy to our cabinet. COHO is owned and run by Helen and Van. And they put on the Manormind. They obviously do the HMO Awards, so make sure you go check them out and attend the HMO Awards held at Stowe School to confirm a date this year. But they put on the Manormind event, which was 32 business and property professionals all coming to a manor, where we just basically all rocked up between sort of 2 p.m. And 4 p.m. The way that it was structured is it was very relaxed. We all turned up and started meeting people as we got there. It's really interesting to sort of see, who you can meet in those rooms. But the most important things that we went through from a business perspective is we did these very sort of group collective sort of thinking sessions where we sat into groups of 4 or 5. We had direction of topic, the most important topic for this event. I think there's 2 most important topics. One is rising cost of bills. So if there's anyone out there that's got rental properties with inclusive bills like HMOs, service accommodation, we went through and we had 32 heads of 32 business owners going through all of these problems and what they found a quick route to improve, optimize, and make more efficient to keep those costs down and to keep the profit margins up. So it was a really productive session. Second, we also talked about the incoming issue of council tax banding for HMOs. So again, 32 people in the room, 2 people in particular, which was Darren and Wendy, who are actually representing and challenging the government or local legislation to try and get this lifted. So it was a really interesting conversation about how you can protect your business, protect your assets, protect your tenants, because that banding does actually, in most cases, fall on the tenants if within your contract you put that responsibility onto them. So why do we attend as business owners these events? If you can think about it, if there's 32 people across the country, some people have 450, 400 bedrooms or even properties. And everyone's trying new creative ideas and different things. So what is really key is we can save so much time in sharing value of wrongs and rights and learnings that we've had. And we had a great opportunity to really pick people's brains and see what they're up to, compare it to what we're doing, just to make sure we're at the front edge. Obviously, we're representing our business. We're also representing some investor partners. So we want to make sure that we're ahead of the curve, well prepared, well de-risked, and doing the best we can for the best product, but also commercially protecting ourselves and keeping our margins where they should be. So it's a thoroughly enjoyable event. I think Ben mentioned that there was a huge swimming pool and a jacuzzi there, and it did get to the point where I thought we were at Butlins at one stage with drinks and people flying everywhere. But it was a thoroughly enjoyable event with it's fun to network when it's not all, in suits and in the middle of a Holiday Inn reception room. It was good to sort of relax and understand people's businesses and also personal drivers as well. I don't know if you've got anything else to add on that Ben.
No, you covered it well. So on to point number 2. If you've been following what we've been up to, you'd have seen us posting about this project. So it's a project up in Muswell Hill, northwest London. Lovely area, very affluent area. We're basically buying a pair of semi-detached HMOs. So each one of these on the left and right is sort of 2,500 square feet. We submitted planning to convert that into 2 sort of luxury private houses back in, I think it was September. So we're actually now 5 months into the process on that. And the planning authority have been extremely slow. The planning case officer has changed hands numerous times. And we've had to again extend the timeframes that we've allowed the council on this planning application. We've got a secondary application in to convert the same building envelope to 9 flats. And that one is sort of running in tandem with the 2 private houses. We've got a bit of an update this week. Things were taking too long, as they normally do with the planning process. So we actually reached out to some local MPs to try to push things along. And we had a response from somebody, one of the MPs, Wednesday. And Thursday afternoon, we had a response from the planning officer saying, we've reviewed it in-house and we'd like to meet to have a chat about some of our concerns. So it's progress. Their concerns are actually around this rear elevation and the side dormers at the top. Their exact understanding or queries or sort of comments regarding them, we don't know yet until we speak to them on Monday. And it just goes to show, I guess the lessons learned is if you can get your MPs on side, they do hold a lot of power, and it's clearly paid dividends on this one to push things along a bit faster. That sort of gentle nudge to the MP has given a gentle nudge to the planning department, and suddenly we've had a response when we were waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to even get a response via email previously. So next Friday I should have an update on where they want us to go with this rear elevation in terms of their concerns, and hopefully we can be showing you some updated drawings or some plans to show that. Cool. Any questions, by the way, do throw them into the comments. We're here kind of for you guys to give you an insight into our businesses to hopefully help you grow yours and answer anything or any troubles that you guys are having as well. So do ask anything in the comments below. Next point that I wanted to make and discuss is, if I can share my screen, is this. So on Tuesday and every other Tuesday going forward, myself and some of my team members at Aura Architecture and Interiors will be basically having a 15 to 20 minute live stream similar to this, where we're talking through some of the materials, some of the suppliers, some of the products that our clients are wanting in their projects. Generally somewhere between like 4 and 6 pieces of material or products or clients and suppliers that we're using, talking through in detail what those products are, talking about the costs associated with them, how you might factor those into your projects, and again answering any questions about the types of things that we're seeing coming through our studio. So we're doing a lot of projects at the moment. We've got about sort of 50 projects in play, whether it be at pre-planning, planning, detailed design, or on site. And we're seeing a lot of new products coming through. We talked about a sustainable paint this week. So if you're interested in interior design, interested in architecture, keeping ahead of the curve in terms of what those trends are coming through, and I've just noticed I've spelled design wrong. That's good. Do tune in. Follow us over on Instagram. That's our biggest following and where we're most active. And also on YouTube to view some of the other videos that we've got in terms of finished home tours. And we're going to be bringing you a lot more of those as this year progresses. So our latest one was a Southwest London house transformation where we added a large ground floor kitchen extension. You can kind of see from some of these images that we installed a fantastic shaker style kitchen, big open plan kitchen, dining, living space, lots of roof lights, lots of light and airiness. And so there it is. And we're going to be bringing more of these finished products to our YouTube channel over this year. So do tune in.
Cool, good. On to Sunset Court. So Sunset Court, to sort of position where that is, that's Princess Risborough permitted development scheme from an office to 4 apartments and planning permission for 2 new build houses within the car parking space area. Princess Risborough is in Buckinghamshire, and we bought the site with consent. Ben's reworked the planning to really squeeze some true value out of it. But this morning, our carpet fitter sent us a nice little video showing that he's finished the carpet in the house. So the house was the new build element, so we pretty much finished the conversion within a few months. So this site was bought in April 2022. Just to give you a picture of time frame. So we're converting a building into 4 flats and building from scratch, ground up, 2 new build houses. And we started in April, and the carpets are going in already in the houses. So the site is pretty much there, other than landscaping, externals, and finishing off and find a few details. This is where we actually did our site tour. So anyone that came to the site tour would have seen the scheme in the snow. But it's a nice little quaint scheme just off the high street in Princess Risborough. Ben, anything you want to add to Carpet Day?
Carpet Day. I love Carpet Day. It's the point in which a development starts to feel like a home. You go from being a construction site to seeing it looking like it is when someone's gonna move in. So we're super excited about the next, I would say, 3 weeks, because the finishing touches will be going down to the houses, and the finishing touches will be going down to the landscaping. So the paving will go in, the planting will go in, the brickwork is going up, the boundary treatments, the railings. And it's going to start transitioning from a construction site to a lovely new development where people are going to be living. So we're on the market for these at the moment. We're relaunching this week with an updated package of information, a new sort of CGI site plan, to hopefully drum up a bit more interest. Now that these are almost finished, I do think we'll start to see some offers coming in very quickly. I think it's very difficult to sell something off plan when it's a construction site. And now that the units are close to completion, people can start seeing themselves living in the property. And that's really when I think we'll start to see these shift off the market. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Good. Okay. On to the next point, which is business coaching. So, Ben has been seeing business coach for oral architecture, for a number of years now, and focusing on the sort of delving into the detail and bracketing sales, marketing, operations, finance, and the team, but also sort of putting in quarterly, annually, and monthly targets to keep him and himself accountable. We've transitioned that not only into our development company, which we self-do, but we've also onboarded XP surveys into business coaching. So once a month, we go through our business coaching calls to see where we are on our long-term goals, quarterly goals, and also key goals that we're trying to hit monthly. So yesterday, before we went to the HMO Manormind, we were on a Zoom call for probably 4 to 5 hours, going through the exact detail of where we were last month, where we are this month, and where we're headed for the next quarter. Ben, do you want to comment on anything else?
I think it's fundamentally what we've learned over the last 5 or 6 years in business. We run a number of service-based businesses, and for those that don't know us, I run an architectural practice. Jack and I started this XP Surveys measured building and topographical survey business. Jack's got Central Suites with his brother, and we've also been building a social housing portfolio under the guise of Aparo Social. So lots of businesses, lots going on. Not having a clear vision of where you're headed is something I see a lot of business owners do. And it fundamentally gives you, if you have it in place, it gives you clarity on where you're headed, but it allows you to break it down into smaller, sizable chunks that are far more easy to digest. You see a lot more progress if you break things down into smaller steps and you start ticking those things off. And it's a chance to have half a day a month away from the day-to-day and busyness of your businesses, to get like a helicopter view of where you need to go. So I thoroughly recommend it to any business owners out there that are trying to grow their business. If you want any input on that, do comment or sort of direct message me. Happy to have a conversation about what we do and what we've done in the past to kind of give us that guidance. Cool.
As a bit of a fun analogy on business coaching and tracking your business, it's a bit like going and playing a round of golf without scoring or counting how many shots you've done. It's not gonna be as fun, and you're not gonna know what you're gonna have to improve on. You're scoring what you're scoring. Where you be is where you want to be, and you can't do anything without monitoring your games as you go along. That's the exact same in months and quarters and years in business.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. The business box. Where am I going with this one? So this is part of a development that we finished September 21. Yeah, September 21. So almost sort of a year and a half finished that development. The way that the pandemic has obviously had an effect on the office market hasn't been so kind to us in terms of this development, because we've created 7 beautiful looking office suites. We've had 3 rented for a long time, pretty much since we did finish, but we've struggled to fill the last 4. We've seen a massive increase in sort of inquiries over the last couple of months for the space, which is absolutely amazing. And Jack is doing, I think, 3 or 4 viewings this Saturday to try and fill some of these additional spaces. So it's grade A office space. It's just to the south of the M4 junction 11 and near Reading, in a place called Spencer's Wood. Perfect for people that don't want to tackle the horrendous traffic into Reading. People that have businesses living just outside Reading. This is like a 5-minute drive from the M4. This is the sort of standard of finish that you'll get in the business box. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else is having issues who have office spaces in sort of secondary locations like this. Would love to hear your insights and your thoughts about kind of that industry. And if you are looking for an office, fed up with working from home and want a bigger place to grow your business, living in Reading, do get in touch.
I think it's worth noting that obviously the question that we constantly get asked when we're at events or whatever it may be is, where is the market? Where do we think the market's going? And to say that we've probably had more viewings on that office space in the last 2 or 3 weeks than we have for the second half of last year is certainly a sign of, confidence is back in businesses taking space. I know that remote working has become more of a thing, and it's more of an expectation for modern day working. But our business now, I couldn't imagine running our business without an office space. I'm sat in our meeting room in Henley, and it's imperative for us. So a little win for us, because obviously we get a more rent roll from letting out those offices. But a bit of a change in the market that I've seen in confidence, and I'd be interested to see if anyone out there has been thinking about going to office space or has office space and has seen this change too. A few of my friends are building out luxury offices or contemporary offices or co-working spaces. So it'd be good to hear what their views are as well.
Good stuff. So, do you
On to Gainsborough Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gainsborough Green is a little estate south of Abingdon. Ben and I bought an end of terrace house for £310,000 a couple of years ago. We got planning consent to build a new build two-bed house on the side of it. You can see the two houses there. We long story short, we got the planning consent. We obviously refurbished the existing house and built the new build house. Both of them sold extremely quickly. Once they were finished, we had CGIs drawn up, and we had actually sold the two-bed, the new build, off plan to a first-time buyer, and we sold the 52, the existing house, refurbished to just someone wanting to buy it to obviously move in. That one went through. We had a restriction on the land, which we had to overcome, which we took an indemnity policy against. But the underwriter of the specific lender and the buyer of the house was very pigeonholed with how many lenders they could go into the market. So the deal fell through on part of the funding. So we were back to square one to re-advertise the property, which we did at the sort of Q4 last year. The market was soft. There wasn't much movement. We didn't have much viewings, and this is sort of resonating with our office space in addition. And what we've noticed is viewings really picked up. One of the reasons that viewing picked up is, Ben, if you can share the photos of the CGIs internally. So we just had bare shots of the rooms online. What Ben's sharing is where we actually got CGIs drawn up with soft furnishing, so people can visualize what the rooms look like with furniture in them. For the cost of, I think, 40 quid a room or whatever it may be, you get a really good return on investment. And as a result, we had quite a substantial amount of viewings. We had a couple wanting to move in there together that would require finance, and then we had a cash buyer that was also in the ranks for offering. They got into a bit of a bidding practice, and we managed to sell it just over asking price of 300,000. We sold it for 3,350, and we're obviously delighted with that result. And they've gone into legals to buy the property for cash. Obviously, one huge benefit for us, the cash buyer, is they don't have to go through an underwriting process, which fell foul last time. So it would be really keen to see if anyone's got any questions on that. What's the restriction on the land? Basically, that we couldn't build a house on it. I know that may sound crazy, James, but yeah. So the restriction on the title was that we couldn't build a house on it. There was a policy that we could take out to do that. We could probably do a whole section on restrictions and covenants. Most of the time, there's an indemnity that you can take out to overcome the risk and to indemnify the risk. And in this position, we did get an indemnity policy in place, which our solicitor found for us. If you've got an indemnity issue on any of your land, I'm sure your solicitor could probably help you find one to lift that for you. But we're excited to get this off our books, sold, and another property delivered by XP and owned by someone else. James has also asked, how did you get around it and build the house? So yeah, I think I've answered that.
Indemnity, yeah. I think it was the restriction. It was a 60-year-old covenant that was put on by the council to basically, it wasn't necessarily not to build a house. It was basically to not build anything other than a fence at this height and lay part of the side garden to lawn to that degree. But like Jack says, these are sorts of things that you can indemnify. The reality is that it's not been an issue for however many years, 60 years. When you look at sort of what's happened in the vicinity of this property, who at some point would have always been on sort of council owned. This is a large extension to the side. This is a new build property. These are new build properties here. This is an extension to the side. It's been done up and down this road numerous times. And we indemnified the issue with a policy, insurance policy.
Cool, good. On to the next one. So we had a new arrival this week in XP Surveys, landed at the beginning of the week. So in XP Surveys, we obviously have surveyors that go out to site with our kit and scan and measure sites. We had already got a Ford Fiesta that was wrapped. in the company. But it very recently made commercial sense to actually get a second vehicle, which you can see there. So we now got a little VW Polo. Also got it equally wrapped, the same as a Fiesta, which is that one there. They can probably both do with a bit of a clean, which is inevitable when you've got a white car in the winter of England. But we got a new car to the fleet, and the guy that did the wraps is Darren at Silk Signs. Brilliant job, really reliable, and does a great finish as well. So obviously the benefit for us is obviously our surveyors can get out and about, but obviously there's a dual benefit of marketing and advertising on our vehicles, that if anyone sees it in traffic or at site, they can give us a ring and use our services. Funding convos. So I looked at a list of what I've been up to this week and looked at my calendar, and I think I've probably had near half a dozen funding conversations with private investors, high net worths, existing investors, people that, well, a professional is looking to open up a fund and looking for 2 delivery partners to execute that fund. But one thing that I thought would be relevant to touch on, just to sort of close this off, is the 2 hardest things in our job in the development business and sort of in the investment business is finding the deal and funding the deal. We don't often have too much difficulty finding the deal because we're pretty active. We're pretty good at building processes, and we understand what we need and want from a shopping list. But then move on to funding. We do work with high net worth partners, and some of them, you know, we can now call friends, and we've enjoyed growing our business with their, I suppose, cash pot and what they're working with, and keep recycling, but also meeting new people. But the scenario that we always get asked, and you know, there may be some comments about this, is what do you find first, the deal or the funds? So I suppose just go to show that off the back of this week with maybe 6 face-to-face or conversations with investors, we work on both at all times. So we have 2 live investments at the moment, quite larger schemes. So the one that Ben mentioned to you earlier, which is Colney Hatch Lane, which is 9 flats in North London. We are open for investment for that. We've got an exchange delay completion, so we have time to raise the capital for the completion on that one. That's open for funding. And we have another scheme in Oxfordshire, which the agent just called me on, that we are also securing, which requires funding. We like to further relationships with all investor partners at any given time. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a chicken and egg scenario. I believe that you should be looking for deals all the way up to the point where you might be full, or you've found what you need, or you've hit your targets to deliver. But the funding, I think you always need that backup and those relationships to be built. And it's really good to have those relationships at a stage so that you've pre-qualified them, shared everything that you know they need for your business. So at the point you say to them, you know, what do you think about this particular deal? They've already pre-vetted you. They've already done their due diligence on you. They've already got comfortable with how you operate. So that's how we go about our process. We're constantly meeting new people, having these new conversations, and getting them to the point where they're either comfortable with us, or they, you know, it's very rare they're not, and that they like to see the projects. And obviously, more importantly, equally as importantly, we're happy with them. So we go through that process so that when the project comes along and is ready for investment, we can share that with them and show, you know, everything that they need to know to get comfortable with the deal too. Obviously, the way we see it is another analogy coming out with them today is when you're looking at investing, they say that backing and investing in the jockey is much more important than the horse. But the horse is equally is also important. So we make sure that XP is the jockey, and our schemes are the horse. We obviously would ride 8 horses a year to deliver eight developments a year, but we want to make sure they're comfortable with how we operate, what we do, how we present ourselves, how detailed we are in our risk analysis, in our numbers, and we present that to them. So we're constantly keeping those conversations going forward and doing the best thing that we can to answer those questions. Good, I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know so much.
I need to make those better. Yeah, I think
one more time, just for
which one do you want? Shall I thumbs up?
I mean, all of them are pretty. Oh wow. Yeah.
How on?
Interesting. Wow. Make sure you subscribe.
This one?
Just shameless plug. That is just nothing. What you...
Well, yeah, that's what I say. They need a bit of work. Yeah, I think there's just one other thing that I wanted to say, and that is basically, if you don't already follow us, we are going to be doing this every Friday at 5 p.m. So make sure you sort of the best way of doing it is actually on YouTube and clicking the notification button and subscribe. That way you'll get notified, of these lives and when we're about to start. If you've got any questions, we want these to be as interactive as absolutely possible. So if there's anything that you are up to in the property industry at the moment and you're struggling, we are here to help. So we would happily field your questions and hopefully help where we can. Anything else, Jack?
No, it's all good from me. And thanks, James, for asking the questions and joining. But yeah, keep the questions coming. Stay tuned for next week. And have a good weekend, everyone. And hopefully England bring a win home tomorrow in the rugby.
Good stuff. Nice one. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.